Hi, this is Swapnil Bharti, and we are here at the Open Mainframe Summit. And today we have with us an esteemed panel of three guests who will be presenting a panel discussion at the summit. We have with us Jeanne Glass, founder and CEO of VirtualZ Computing, April Hickel, AVP of Product Management at BMC, and Julie Bergh, worldwide lead of security of Rocket Software. First of all, welcome to the show. So first of all, tell us a bit about yourself. Let's start with you, April. Tell us about yourself.
So I have responsibility for strategy and innovation at BMC, and we're especially excited to be here because with our recent acquisition of CompuWare, we have an ongoing commitment to DevOps and bringing the DevOps practices to the mainframe. So thrilled to be here with you.
Awesome. Julie, talk about yourself. What are you doing at Rocket Software?
At Rocket Software, I'm responsible for helping out and driving the Z security business. I've been doing mainframe security for a long time. That's out here. Prior to this, I was working at IBM, but my function here is to help with the Z security business at Rocket.
And Jeanne, you are founder of VirtualZ Computing. I want to know from you that what does the company do and what problem you saw in the space that you wanted to solve that you created the company?
Yes, thank you. So VirtualZ delivers cost modernization software to the IBM Z platform. Today, we virtualize batch-oriented products for cost modernization and help customers migrate to newer versions of software or to IBM Z Cloud, or in other ways, our software will help them expedite redirecting their batch products to other IBM Z locations, either on premises or in a public or a private IBM Z cloud.
Awesome, thanks. Now, you all are presenting, as there's a session panel discussion at the summit. What is it all about? April, let's start with you.
So our panel discussion is about women in IT. And the topic that we're going to be discussing is on observability. And we think this is a really interesting topic because mainframe technology has had a long history of monitoring. So we wanted to compare and contrast the term observability with monitoring and talk about its application to the mainframe.
Julie, from Rocket Software's perspective, what is this panel all about? What will be your contribution to the panel?
Well, I was really excited to be on this panel. And kind of like April had talked about, it's all observability versus monitoring. Well, I kind of brought the aspect of security into play from a mainframe viewpoint because security on the mainframe tends to be more about monitoring. But it was really good to bring that monitoring and observability together and talk from that viewpoint.
Starting a women-owned business was important to me, but one thing we didn't know when we started the company was that VirtualZ would be the first and only women-owned mainframe ISV in the history of the mainframe. And as a result of that, we've received quite a bit of recognition as female innovators in mainframe technology specifically, but also for women in IT. And as a result of that, we've been asked to sponsor a number of women in IT initiatives with organizations like Open Mainframe Project. So they came to us, asked if we would sponsor women in IT content at their annual summit. And with Julie and April, we chose observability because observability brings a human element to the DevOps lifecycle. And women in IT have the opportunity to help close the skills gap and address other real business issues that mainframe customers are saving. So we felt it was a nice tie-in from mainframe and open systems technologies to women in IT, focusing on observability, given that human platform.
I have two questions here. One is about observability and one is about women in IT. Let's talk about observability first. What is the role or importance of observability in the mainframe space? Why should we care about it?
Well, I think that observability in the mainframe space is just like the importance of observability in any scale infrastructure. So if you think about taking applications and systems and making sure that they are providing the information about their health, the well-being, is making them observable, right? It's publishing this information, it's sharing this information, it's exposing this information. And whether that is an application or system on the mainframe or other scale infrastructure, it's equally important. And then as you publish that information, the discipline, which is fairly well understood of monitoring, capturing, and visualizing that information, is there as well. And I think that as customers and organizations are modernizing the software they're delivering, they're becoming more agile on the mainframe, they're delivering using processes such as DevOps. They have seen the importance of that continuous feedback loop, right? You have a new release, you make it available, you have to know if it's getting better or worse. So this has increased the importance of observability as well as monitoring in these environments.
Right. And Julie, are we like, are there new tools for mainframe or because if you look at this space, there are so many open source technology already available there. So are we leveraging the same tools for mainframe, or the community is trying to build new set of tools?
Well, when you look at some of those from the open source aspect and wanting to make sure that, from the observability is also looking at that, the whole idea with open sources, it's readily available, you're going to customize it, but you want to make sure that if you're using this from an observability standpoint is that you're making this data available, but you're making sure that it is secure, that you haven't done something to that code that may be doing something to capture something that's not there. And that's kind of where observability, and then obviously with the monitoring that you would do, they work hand in hand, making sure that open source application is secure.
Right. And Jeanne, if you look at mainframe is like a technology which has been around for a long time, and you've created a new company around it. So when you look at observability space, how do you kind of attract new developers who work more on their GitHub repository than looking at some of these old technologies?
So one thing that's been really exciting through the Women in IT work that we've been doing at VirtualZ is the number of ISVs where their CEOs and general managers are focused on investing in women in IT and also in a younger audience to the mainframe, and starting programs like Open Mainframe Project has, BMC certainly has, IBM and other companies have started many programs like Master the Mainframe contest and so forth to help attract and educate new users on the mainframe. The mainframe is kind of a best kept secret. We all use the mainframe every day. The last time you used your credit card is the last time you used the mainframe. And what's been really exciting through programs like Master the Mainframe is the level of excitement when young people and a diverse population really learn about the mainframe. They're very excited about it. And there's quite a bit of momentum in a diverse workforce and a younger workforce coming to the mainframe.
Awesome. Now let's talk about the women aspect or diversity aspect of it. If you look at open source world, the beauty of open source is that you don't have to prove yourself before getting involved with project. It doesn't really matter about your background, where you live, or who you are. But still, we don't see it as diverse as it should be, or we don't see women in a lot of leading roles. Even if you go to a lot of tech events, you will not see 5 out of 7 keynote speakers to be women. So despite being open, we still see the Linux Foundation, they are doing a lot of efforts there. But first of all, what problem do you see is still there, even in the open source space, that diversity is still not a stronghold which should have been? If you go to Twitter, you'll see a lot of women developers who, I follow them. They are there, but we don't see those faces. So can you talk about this problem that you're actually trying to solve?
Well, I would say at BMC, we have a very intentional focus on diversity, and that's both gender diversity, so recruiting women into technical positions. We see a lot of them entering in a technical marketing position or possibly a technical writing position. So we spend a lot of time developing people, bringing them into more and more technical careers. As well as we have a big focus on global diversity. So we have a lot of locations around the world, and each of those locations has a program to bring in interns, to bring in people new to the mainframe. And we do see, as you mentioned, a lot of people starting out, a lot of female developers working in the open source projects. And as they start to integrate with the mainframe, as they start to build the same types of tools and process for the mainframe, we see the trickle-on effect, or those people migrating into mainframe careers.
Julie, can you talk about the work that is going on within Rocket software for diversity?
Sure. One of the things, and I've been in the mainframe area for quite a while, and you're absolutely right, is there tends not to be as many women in that area. It is growing. Rocket's all about making sure it's diversity out there to help women grow in their careers, and make them available and give them those opportunities that are out there. And one of the things that I've always been doing throughout my career is really mentoring a lot of women that are out there and encouraging them to go into, like the area I do, the mainframe area that's out there. But again, Rocket is all behind making sure that, there's a diverse workforce and women are getting the chance, as well as being women that are out there that are people that are coding in the open source area.
Right. And Jeanne, you are at the helm there. So, of course, you yourself are women. So what kind of culture is there to kind of, to make sure that while the, of course, the leadership is diverse, but the workforce is also diverse?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing we're really excited about, and that's been inspiring in the work we've been doing with women in IT across mainframe ISVs like Rocket and BMC and Broadcom and others, is we've really learned that there is executive sponsorship and funding across the mainframe ecosystem to support diversity. And so one of the initiatives that we're working on right now is to create a panel discussion with the CEOs and general managers of the mainframe ecosystem, and allow them to talk about and educate the mainframe community on their programs around diversity. And whereas each organization has a program and funding around diversity, we believe that when we bring all of those organizations together and their voices come together collectively, it will be a much louder, resonating voice around diversity in the mainframe. And so we're very excited to pull these senior level executives that without them, there wouldn't be funding and there wouldn't be these programs. And I think it's a bit of a best kept secret, the level of work and investment and commitment that's behind diversity in the mainframe. So we're looking forward to bringing that to the market.
Awesome. But one more thing is that we cannot talk about diversity without talking about inclusion as well. You have to create an environment where everybody feels welcomed as well. Can you just give a quick summary that what efforts are going on within the community, Open Mainframe community itself, to make it a more inclusive environment where everybody feels welcomed?
So I would start by saying that I think the work being done in the Open Mainframe community, one of the things that's prevented people from entering mainframe careers is the belief that you have to be working on the mainframe for 30 years. So I think this was a barrier for people wanting to enter these careers, not seeing people around them that were like them in their age demographic, were like them in their early in career perspective, were not like them in the fact that they were getting started on the mainframe and didn't have a mainframe legacy. So a lot of the work that's being done to show the mainframe as part of the broader ecosystem, open API-based, the processes that the new generation of mainframers understand, whether it be AI ops in the operation side or DevOps in the developer side. I think that those actions, opening up the mainframe, making it accessible to all, showing that there's a lot of new talent emerging around the mainframe. All of those things are putting us towards an inclusive environment.
Right. Julie, would you like to share, once again, from your perspective, what kind of, effort should be made to make it more inclusive?
So as I was thinking through this, I mean, one of the things is, based on what I've done out in the community and worked with a lot of customers, is it's real interesting because as they've hired women per se, women in those areas, a lot of them have reached out to me and said, would you be willing to be a mentor for these women that are out there, just helping them grow and understand and wanting to grow in that mainframe environment, because it has been not necessarily a lot of women that are in there. So working through a lot of that, and when you look at the different conferences that are available, more and more they're making them available, or making it, to get younger people in there, kind of like April said, so they're not afraid of the mainframe, that the mainframe is kind of cool. There's different ways to be about there. But again, I've worked with a lot of customers, and a lot of customers have reached out to me that have had people that are just coming in to the mainframe and kind of getting them to understand and getting hooked on the mainframe and seeing how excited it really can be.
And Jeanne, I mean, you are at a position of power and influence, because you lead the company. Talk about not only the company itself, but also the community itself. That what efforts is your company making to make it an inclusive environment and community?
All right. At VirtualZ, we have 3 female owners and 7 male owners. And the men in our organization, they need to make quite a few sacrifices to maintain our women-owned certification. And what's been really exciting is I have found across the board that my male counterparts are, as supportive or more supportive of a diverse, inclusive audience, making sure our voices are being heard. As April said, this kind of work is happening globally with female mainframe experts volunteering across the globe to educate young students on the mainframe. As Julie said, there's a number of mentorship programs going on at conferences. There are tracks, more and more for women IT. There's work being done on female and diverse keynote speakers at conferences. And then just interviews like this, creating awareness. But we definitely have the support that we need to continue to make progress in this area. We have the support, we have the funding, we have the resources being dedicated to it. And I think we just need to continue to build on the momentum and to continue to fund these kind of programs. And this will be very important to the mainframe and to the Open Mainframe project, because we do have a skills gap in our industry, and we know a diverse audience. Better collaboration with a diverse team drives better results, but also just addressing the skills gap and other gaps in the market. Diversity is really a key component to that, and that's why there is so much investment behind these programs.
Right, and then you're talking about the male colleagues, they're made a lot of compromise. Sometimes when I look at this and people say when the males they're but the thing is, we have sisters, we have daughters, we have moms. We do know how to behave in front of them. So it's just, for some reason, I think it does, whether you call them male allies or you can become female allies to help them also to bring the same culture that they have at home to the work as well. It's not two different words, it's the same word. So yeah, all these efforts are really, kind of incredible. Now let's go back to the summit itself. Can you talk about, what would be the 3 key takeaways from this panel that the viewers will walk out with?
Well, I think from my perspective, the 3 key takeaways would be, number 1, that there are a lot of women in leadership roles in the mainframe environment, and it's an exciting place to work as a woman, and there's a great career opportunity. I think the second thing, the takeaway would be is, what is observability? What is its relevance? How does it fit in DevOps? What does it mean for the mainframe? And then I think the third takeaway would be is how does other important disciplines like security, like AI. How does that relate to observability, and how does that fit in?
Julie.
I think the three key takeaways is one of the things that I've always talked to, especially when I talk to a lot of younger women that are looking at the mainframe. It really is exciting, and you could change your career multiple times within the mainframe and still be within the mainframe aspect of it, and continue to work on that. I mean, it is exciting. If you're passionate about it, there's all sorts of different ways to go on that. Kind of tying into that is, when you think about it from the observability or monitoring, which again, I've spent the last 15 to 20 years of my career primarily in the security space. But when you look at this, kind of going with April talks about, is you can be in DevOps, you can be in security, you can be programming, you can be doing all these things. So that's kind of the second point that's out there, is it's out there and it's available. And, I really encourage a lot of the women to go out there and find themselves, doing this in the mainframe and working with other people, because there are a lot of women out there. They want to work together and, making sure that you're doing what you really are passionate about in your career.
Jeanne.
So I think April and Julie really summarized it quite nicely. What I would add is it's in these panel discussions, it's really nice to work with senior level peers of mine, my female peers in the industry, and get to know them and the work that they're doing, and working with experts like April and Julie. I learn something every day myself through these types of conversations, but also we tried to create a balance because this is a women in IT track, from talking about being women in IT in balance with the fact that we are women in IT and we have a lot of value to add. And then picking a topic like observability, which has a strong human element, and diverse teams, as we said, are better problem-solving teams. So we really hope that we reached a balance of bringing very senior level experts in the mainframe, like April and Julie, to the forefront, sharing their thought leadership and years of experience in the mainframe, with, as April said, profiling that there are women leaders who are defining the future of the mainframe.
Awesome. April, Jeanne, Julia, thank you so much for taking your time out and talking about your panel. I wish we could have done that in person, but we have to do whatever card we're dealt with. Once again, thank you.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.